In the quiet solitude of her small, weathered cabin nestled deep within the dense forests of northern Canada, Dr. Evelyn Carter found herself staring at the peculiar object that had quite literally fallen into her life. The alien artifact, a shimmering crystalline structure roughly the size of a basketball, pulsed with an otherworldly light that seemed to breathe in sync with her own heartbeat. She had discovered it 3 days ago while conducting routine geological surveys in the region, its arrival marked by a deafening sonic boom that had shaken the very foundations of her home. Evelyn's fingers traced the intricate patterns etched across its surface, patterns that shifted and changed like liquid mercury under her touch. As a leading xenobiologist specializing in first contact protocols, she had spent years preparing for this moment, studying theoretical frameworks and participating in countless simulations. Yet nothing could have prepared her for the reality of holding an actual piece of extraterrestrial technology in her hands, feeling its warmth seep through her skin, and sensing the strange connection that seemed to form between them. The artifact had already demonstrated remarkable properties. When she first touched it, flashes of images, too quick to comprehend but vivid enough to leave lasting impressions, had flooded her mind. Vast cities floating among stars, beings with forms both familiar and alien, and most disturbingly, glimpses of herself standing amidst these cosmic landscapes. The experience had left her physically drained but mentally electrified, her scientific curiosity battling with a growing sense of unease about what exactly she had encountered. Her research team, scattered across various remote locations due to budget constraints, remained unaware of her discovery. Protocol dictated immediate notification of the United Nations Extraterrestrial Contact Division, but something, perhaps intuition, perhaps fear, had stayed her hand. Instead, she had locked down her cabin, activated every security measure at her disposal, and begun documenting everything in meticulous detail. The artifact's presence filled the room with a subtle hum that resonated in her bones, creating an atmosphere both exhilarating and terrifying. As night fell on the 3rd day, Evelyn found herself drawn inexorably back to the artifact, her scientific instruments arrayed around it like soldiers guarding a mysterious monarch. Something was building within her, a pressure behind her eyes that matched the increasing intensity of the artifact's glow. She knew, with absolute certainty, that whatever was about to happen would change everything she understood about life, consciousness, and her place in the universe. The question wasn't whether she was ready, it was whether anyone could ever truly prepare for what the stars might demand of humanity. The transformation began with a single shattering pulse of light that sent Evelyn sprawling backward, her vision swimming with afterimages that refused to fade. When she finally managed to focus again, the artifact had changed, or perhaps she had. Its crystalline surface now rippled like water, and from its depths emerged a presence that defied conventional understanding. A voice, neither male nor female, neither singular nor plural, filled the room with words that seemed to bypass her ears entirely and imprint themselves directly upon her consciousness. "You have been chosen," the voice declared, each word resonating with layers of meaning that made translation seem inadequate. "From among your kind, you possess the necessary qualities to serve as vessel and bridge." The artifact's light intensified, bathing Evelyn in waves of color that seemed to penetrate her very cells, rewriting her DNA with each passing second. Pain and ecstasy warred within her as her body underwent changes she could feel but not fully comprehend. New neural pathways forming, senses expanding beyond human limitations. The voice continued, explaining that the artifact represented the collective will of the alien queens, ancient beings who had guided the evolution of countless species across galaxies. They sought not conquest but continuation, their own biological imperative driving them to propagate through compatible hosts. Evelyn's scientific mind struggled to process the implications even as her body accepted them on a fundamental level. The Queen civilization had reached such heights of technological and biological mastery that traditional reproduction had become impossible. They required partners from younger species to ensure their legacy. As the transformation progressed, Evelyn experienced flashes of the Queen's history. Their rise to dominance, their careful stewardship of developing civilizations, and their current crisis of succession. She saw how they had observed humanity for centuries, watching as Earth's inhabitants developed the capacity for space travel and advanced technology. The artifact itself was both gift and test, designed to assess potential hosts and initiate the bonding process if compatibility was confirmed. What Evelyn hadn't anticipated was the depth of the connection being forged, not just physical, but emotional and spiritual. Memories that weren't hers began surfacing. The joy of successful bonds, the sorrow of failed attempts, and the desperate hope that humanity might provide the solution to their reproductive dilemma. The pain intensified as her body adapted to accommodate the Queen's genetic material, her cells restructuring to create a hybrid organism capable of carrying their offspring. Her scientific training screamed warnings about the dangers of cross-species genetic manipulation, yet her new awareness revealed the truth. This was no mere parasitic invasion but a carefully orchestrated symbiosis. The Queens needed her as much as she now needed them, their survival intertwined with her willingness to embrace this unprecedented role. Through the haze of transformation, Evelyn became aware of another presence in the room, one that shouldn't be there. Her assistant, Marcus, stood frozen in the doorway, his face pale with shock as he took in the scene before him. He had arrived early for their scheduled meeting, violating protocol by entering without announcement. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as their eyes met across the transformed space. The artifact's glow illuminated Marcus's features, highlighting the mixture of fear and fascination that played across his face. "Evelyn," Marcus whispered, taking a hesitant step forward. What is happening to you?" His voice trembled, not just with fear but with something deeper, concern, perhaps even love. They had worked together for nearly a decade, their professional relationship gradually evolving into something more intimate, though never officially acknowledged. Now, as Evelyn felt the alien presence within her grow stronger, she realized the true weight of her situation. Not only had she become an unwilling participant in an interstellar reproductive drama, but she had also dragged someone she cared deeply about into this cosmic mess. The artifact pulsed in response to Marcus's presence, sending waves of information toward him. Evelyn watched in horror as he staggered under the psychic onslaught, his mind struggling to process the flood of alien knowledge. "Stay back!" she cried out, her voice sounding alien even to her own ears. But Marcus, ever the dedicated scientist, pressed forward despite the danger. "I can help you," he insisted, reaching for his medical kit. "We can figure this out together." Their connection, once based on shared intellectual pursuits and unspoken affection, now faced its greatest test. Evelyn felt the Queen's influence pushing against her human emotions, trying to categorize Marcus as either threat or resource. She fought back with everything she had, her human consciousness asserting itself against the alien imperative. "You don't understand," she gasped, tears streaming down her face. "This isn't just about me anymore. I'm carrying something beyond comprehension. Something that could change everything we know about life itself." Marcus dropped to his knees beside her, his medical training forgotten in the face of raw emotion. "Then let me be here for you," he pleaded, taking her trembling hands in his. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." The artifact responded with a surge of energy that sent both of them reeling, forcing Evelyn to confront the impossible choice before her. Could she maintain her humanity while fulfilling her role as host? And could Marcus truly understand the magnitude of what was being asked of them both? The room seemed to shrink around them as the implications settled in. Every decision Evelyn made from this point forward would ripple through both their lives and potentially affect the entire human race. The Queen's presence within her grew stronger, their need more urgent, while Marcus's unwavering support created a counterbalance she desperately needed. In that moment of crisis, their relationship transformed from professional partnership to something far more complex, a human connection serving as anchor against the tide of alien influence. As days turned into weeks, Evelyn found herself caught in an increasingly complex web of responsibilities and revelations. The artifact had integrated itself into her very being, its crystalline structure now existing simultaneously within her body and as a separate entity in the corner of her lab. Each morning brought new changes. Enhanced sensory perception that allowed her to detect minute variations in atmospheric composition, an intuitive understanding of quantum physics that bordered on omniscience, and most troubling of all, periodic episodes where her consciousness seemed to merge completely with the collective mind of the alien queens. These mergers revealed crucial information about their society and intentions. The queens weren't merely seeking hosts, they were engaged in a desperate bid to preserve their civilization through a form of distributed consciousness. Each successful bonding created a node in their vast network, extending their influence while simultaneously adapting to the host species' unique characteristics. Evelyn's human biology presented unprecedented opportunities for evolution, but also posed significant risks. The queens had never encountered a species with such strong individual consciousness, and the conflict between their collective will and her personal identity threatened to destabilize the entire process. Scientific observation gave way to philosophical crisis as Evelyn grappled with fundamental questions about identity and autonomy. Her research notes, once meticulously organized, now sprawled across multiple dimensions of understanding. Traditional biological concepts proved inadequate to describe what was happening to her body. Cells didn't merely divide. They danced in complex patterns that defied known laws of physics. Neural pathways expanded exponentially, creating connections that should have been impossible given human brain structure. Most disturbingly, she discovered that her DNA was no longer purely human. Strands of alien genetic material wove through her chromosomes like golden threads, coding for abilities and structures that challenged everything she knew about biology. The artifact served as both prison and portal, its crystalline surface reflecting not just her physical transformation but the profound changes occurring within her psyche. During particularly intense merger episodes, Evelyn found herself experiencing memories that weren't hers. Battles fought across star systems, diplomatic negotiations spanning centuries, and the heart-wrenching loss of entire colonies. These experiences weren't simple data transfers. They carried emotional weight that threatened to overwhelm her human sensibilities. The Queen's desperation became palpable, their fear of extinction manifesting as a constant pressure against her consciousness. Her scientific instruments recorded phenomena that defied explanation. Gravity fluctuations centered on her body suggested localized distortions in spacetime. Energy readings indicated power outputs far beyond anything achievable with human technology. Most concerning were the biological markers showing her body producing compounds and structures that shouldn't exist according to terrestrial biochemistry. Her immune system had evolved to incorporate alien elements, creating a hybrid defense mechanism that rendered her effectively immortal, at least by human standards. Yet for all these extraordinary developments, Evelyn maintained her core humanity. Her scientific training provided a framework for understanding, even when the phenomena exceeded conventional explanation. She documented everything with obsessive precision, knowing that her records might represent humanity's first detailed account of interspecies reproduction at a cosmic scale. The implications extended far beyond personal transformation. They spoke to fundamental questions about the nature of life, consciousness, and the potential for different species to coexist and evolve together. The artifact's demands grew more insistent, its pulsations synchronizing with her heartbeat in complex rhythms that seemed to encode instructions or perhaps warnings. Evelyn found herself torn between her duty as a scientist to document and understand these events, and her responsibility as a human being to protect her species from unknown consequences. The line between observer and participant blurred until it disappeared entirely, leaving her suspended in a state of perpetual metamorphosis. Marcus's presence became both comfort and complication as Evelyn's condition evolved. Their relationship, once defined by professional boundaries and cautious affection, transformed into something far more profound and challenging. He witnessed firsthand the physical manifestations of her transformation, the subtle luminescence of her skin, the occasional displacement of air molecules around her body, and the moments when her eyes would flash with colors not found in the human spectrum. Yet it was the emotional toll that weighed heaviest on both of them. During lucid periods, Evelyn would cling to Marcus, seeking solace in their shared humanity. "I'm still me," she would whisper, though her voice often carried undertones that weren't entirely human. "Somewhere beneath all this, I'm still your Evelyn." But the truth complicated matters. She was becoming something else, something that defied easy categorization. The artifact's influence extended beyond Evelyn, affecting Marcus in ways neither of them fully understood. He began experiencing vivid dreams of alien landscapes, his thoughts occasionally intruding upon Evelyn's consciousness during their merged states with the Queen's. Their intimacy took on new dimensions as they navigated this unprecedented territory. Physical touch became both comfort and conduit, with Marcus's presence sometimes helping to ground Evelyn when the alien influence threatened to overwhelm her. Yet these moments of connection came at a cost. The artifact viewed their relationship as either threat or opportunity, its crystalline surface rippling with complex patterns whenever they were together. Evelyn feared that the Queens might attempt to incorporate Marcus into their plans, transforming their human bond into something entirely alien. Communication between them grew increasingly difficult. Evelyn's speech patterns shifted, incorporating linguistic elements that defied human vocal capabilities. Sometimes whole conversations would occur on levels beyond sound, their minds connecting through the artifact's influence. Marcus adapted remarkably well, developing an intuitive understanding of Evelyn's changing needs and responses. Yet this adaptation came at the expense of his own peace of mind. He found himself questioning the nature of love and commitment when faced with a partner who was literally becoming something beyond human comprehension. The emotional landscape of their relationship fractured and reformed constantly. Moments of pure human connection, shared laughter over old memories, gentle touches that recalled their pre-artifact days, mingled with episodes of profound alienation. Evelyn would sometimes wake in the middle of the night, her body glowing with internal light, unable to explain the visions that had disturbed her rest. Marcus learned to recognize these episodes, providing support while maintaining a careful distance that broke both their hearts. Their work together became both collaboration and confrontation. Marcus's scientific expertise proved invaluable in documenting Evelyn's transformation, but his protective instincts often clashed with the artifact's demands. Several times, he attempted to interfere with the bonding process, only to be overwhelmed by waves of alien energy that left him physically drained and emotionally shaken. Evelyn's dual nature, human scientist and alien host, created constant tension between their desire to understand what was happening and their need to survive it. Perhaps most challenging was the growing awareness that their relationship had become part of the experiment. The artifact seemed to study their interactions with the same clinical detachment it applied to Evelyn's biological transformation. Were they testing the limits of human emotional bonds? Assessing whether love could transcend species boundaries? Or simply observing how stress affected the bonding process? The uncertainty added another layer of complexity to their already strained connection, forcing them to question whether their feelings for each other were genuine or influenced by alien manipulation. Despite these challenges, their bond persisted, evolving into something that defied easy definition. It wasn't just love or partnership anymore. It had become a shared journey into the unknown, two humans navigating a sea of alien influence while trying to hold on to what made them fundamentally human. Yet with each passing day, the question loomed larger. Could their relationship survive the ultimate test of interspecies reproduction, or would it become another casualty in humanity's first contact with the alien queens? The artifact's influence extended far beyond Evelyn's immediate surroundings, triggering a cascade of global reactions that threatened to spiral out of control. News of her transformation leaked through compromised satellite surveillance systems, sparking international panic and scientific debate. Governments scrambled to respond, their actions ranging from aggressive military posturing to desperate attempts at diplomatic engagement. The United Nations convened emergency sessions, while conspiracy theories spread faster than any official statement could contain them. Evelyn's research facility became ground zero for competing interests. Military units established perimeter checkpoints, their presence both protection and threat. Scientific teams from various nations demanded access, each bringing their own agendas and equipment. Religious groups gathered outside the forest boundary, some praying for divine intervention, others declaring Evelyn's transformation as fulfillment of ancient prophecies. Environmental activists raised concerns about potential ecological impacts, while tech companies salivated at the prospect of reverse engineering alien technology. The media frenzy reached fever pitch, with 24-hour coverage speculating about everything from imminent alien invasion to humanity's ascension to a new evolutionary stage. Social media platforms exploded with hashtags and memes, reducing Evelyn's profound transformation to bite-sized content for mass consumption. Some called her a traitor to humanity, others hailed her as a savior, and many simply feared what her changing nature might mean for the future of the species. Within the scientific community, debates raged about the ethical implications of Evelyn's situation. Bioethicists questioned whether her consent remained valid given her altered state of consciousness. Xenobiologists argued over classification. Was she still human? Was she becoming something else entirely? Should she be treated as an individual or as a representative of a new hybrid species? The lines between scientific inquiry and exploitation blurred as researchers competed for access to what many considered the most significant biological discovery in human history. International relations suffered collateral damage as nations jockeyed for position in this new paradigm. Old alliances fractured while unlikely partnerships formed around shared interests in alien technology. Economic markets fluctuated wildly, with industries related to space exploration and biotechnology experiencing unprecedented growth while traditional sectors faltered under the weight of uncertainty. Insurance companies struggled to develop policies covering potential alien-related incidents, while legal experts debated jurisdiction over an entity that existed in both human and alien realms. The artifact itself seemed to respond to this global attention, its energy signatures fluctuating in patterns that correlated with major news events and policy announcements. Evelyn's connection to the Queens grew stronger with each wave of public reaction, suggesting that humanity's collective consciousness played a role in the bonding process. This realization added another layer of complexity to the situation. Was the artifact amplifying existing tensions, or were these reactions part of its design? Amidst this chaos, Marcus worked tirelessly to maintain some semblance of control. He coordinated with international authorities while trying to protect Evelyn from both physical threats and overwhelming scrutiny. Their small research team became a buffer zone between Evelyn's transformation and the world's insatiable curiosity. Yet even their best efforts couldn't prevent the situation from escalating. Rumors of similar artifacts appearing worldwide began circulating, though verification remained impossible. Some claimed sightings of other individuals undergoing transformations, while others reported strange phenomena that might or might not be related to the Queen's influence. The global impact manifested in unexpected ways. Artistic communities experienced a renaissance of alien-inspired works, while educational institutions rushed to develop curricula addressing first-contact scenarios. Mental health professionals reported increased anxiety and stress levels across populations, while religious institutions saw both declining attendance and unprecedented surges in conversion rates. The very fabric of human society seemed to be rewiring itself in response to Evelyn's transformation, as if the entire species was undergoing some form of collective metamorphosis. As Evelyn's condition progressed, the artifact's demands grew more sophisticated and urgent. No longer content with passive observation, it began actively manipulating its environment, creating localized distortions in space-time that defied conventional physics. Equipment malfunctioned in predictable patterns, suggesting intentional interference rather than random effects. Temperature fluctuations followed complex mathematical sequences that Evelyn recognized as communication attempts, not just with her, but with the surrounding ecosystem. The artifact's influence extended underground, causing seismic activity that mirrored Evelyn's physiological changes. During particularly intense transformation episodes, minor earthquakes shook the region, their epicenters precisely aligned with her location. Geological instruments recorded patterns that suggested deliberate restructuring of mineral deposits, as if the artifact was terraforming its immediate environment to better suit its needs. Plant life within a kilometer radius exhibited accelerated growth rates and unusual mutations, while local wildlife displayed behavioral changes that hinted at emerging telepathic abilities. Most alarming was the artifact's interaction with electronic systems. Communication networks experienced periodic disruptions that coincided with Evelyn's merger episodes with the Queens. Satellites orbiting above registered strange energy signatures that interfered with global positioning systems. Power grids fluctuated in ways that suggested intelligent manipulation rather than random interference. The artifact appeared to be testing the limits of human technology, probing for weaknesses while simultaneously demonstrating capabilities far beyond current understanding. Environmental monitoring equipment revealed changes in atmospheric composition around the research facility. Trace elements not found in nature began appearing in precise concentrations, while oxygen levels fluctuated in patterns that matched Evelyn's respiratory cycles. Water sources showed signs of molecular restructuring, with hydrogen and oxygen atoms bonding in previously unknown configurations. These changes weren't random. They followed mathematical progressions that Evelyn recognized from her studies of alien mathematics, suggesting purposeful modification rather than accidental contamination. The artifact's temporal manipulations grew more pronounced, creating localized time dilation effects that distorted perception of events. Evelyn found herself experiencing moments of perfect clarity where seconds stretched into minutes, allowing her to process vast amounts of information instantaneously. Conversely, hours would pass in what felt like moments during particularly intense bonding episodes. This manipulation of time-space continuum affected not just her perception but also the physical environment, with objects occasionally appearing out of phase or existing in multiple states simultaneously. Energy readings from the artifact revealed patterns that suggested it was drawing power from multiple sources. Solar radiation, geothermal energy, even the ambient electromagnetic field of Earth itself. These energy flows followed complex pathways that intersected with Evelyn's nervous system, creating a feedback loop that amplified both her transformation and the artifact's influence. Instruments designed to measure quantum entanglement registered effects that defied conventional understanding, suggesting the artifact was creating connections between particles separated by vast distances. The environmental impact extended beyond physical changes to affect the fundamental nature of reality within the artifact's sphere of influence. Causality itself seemed to bend and warp, with effects occasionally preceding causes in ways that challenged basic scientific principles. Probability fields shifted, making certain outcomes more likely while suppressing others. The very fabric of spacetime appeared to be restructuring itself around Evelyn and the artifact, creating a bubble of altered reality that expanded incrementally with each passing day. As Evelyn's transformation neared its critical phase, the artifact's behavior became increasingly erratic yet purposeful. Energy discharges that once occurred at predictable intervals now followed complex patterns that seemed to anticipate future events. The crystalline structure expanded and contracted in response to stimuli that remained invisible to conventional sensors, suggesting it was interacting with dimensions beyond human perception. These changes coincided with Evelyn's growing awareness of the Queen's ultimate objective, an objective that threatened to redefine humanity's place in the cosmos in ways both wondrous and terrifying. Evelyn's existence had become a paradox of conflicting realities, each moment stretching her understanding of self and species to its absolute limit. The artifact's influence had transcended mere physical transformation, weaving itself into the very fabric of her consciousness in ways that defied linear comprehension. During her most recent merger episode with the Queens, she had glimpsed fragments of their long-term strategy, a cosmic tapestry of interconnected species, each playing a vital role in a grand evolutionary symphony. Humanity's place in this design remained uncertain, hanging precariously between integration and annihilation. The scientific community's response had evolved from initial skepticism to desperate attempts at containment. International research teams, working around the clock in hastily constructed facilities surrounding her compound, had developed sophisticated monitoring systems that barely kept pace with the artifact's accelerating evolution. Their instruments recorded phenomena that challenged every established law of physics. Matter existing in multiple states simultaneously, time flowing in nonlinear patterns, and energy manifesting in forms that suggested conscious intent. Yet for all their advanced technology, the researchers remained observers to a process that operated on principles beyond human understanding. Marcus's unwavering presence had become both anchor and amplifier in this maelstrom of transformation. His emotional connection to Evelyn created unexpected resonances with the artifact, suggesting that their bond might be influencing the bonding process in ways neither the Queens nor human scientists could have anticipated. During moments of extreme stress, when the artifact's demands threatened to overwhelm Evelyn's human consciousness, Marcus's proximity seemed to stabilize the energy fluctuations, creating brief windows of clarity that allowed her to maintain some semblance of control. The global situation had reached a critical tipping point. Nations teetered on the edge of conflict, their leaders struggling to balance the potential benefits of alien contact against the existential threat posed by uncontrollable technological advancement. Underground movements had emerged, some advocating for complete isolation from the artifact's influence, others demanding immediate access to its power. Religious organizations interpreted Evelyn's transformation through various doctrinal lenses, their followers oscillating between reverence and condemnation. The economic impact alone threatened to reshape global power structures, with traditional industries collapsing under the weight of possibilities suggested by the artifact's demonstrations of advanced physics. Most concerning was the artifact's apparent interest in humanity's collective consciousness. Patterns in social media activity, stock market fluctuations, and even weather systems began correlating with Evelyn's transformation episodes, suggesting that the Queens were studying more than just individual human biology. Their observations extended to societal structures, cultural evolution, and the fundamental nature of human relationships. The artifact's energy signatures responded to major geopolitical events with increasing sophistication, hinting at an intelligence that processed information on scales incomprehensible to human minds. Evelyn's scientific training had prepared her for many scenarios, but nothing could have equipped her for the moral dilemmas she now faced. Each decision carried implications that rippled through multiple dimensions of consequence: biological, ethical, social, and metaphysical. The artifact's demands grew more nuanced, requiring responses that blended human intuition with alien logic. Her consciousness expanded to encompass perspectives that challenged her fundamental understanding of identity and free will, yet somehow retained the core essence of her humanity. The situation approached a convergence point, where multiple factors, biological, environmental, social, and cosmic, aligned toward an outcome that remained shrouded in uncertainty. The artifact's energy output increased exponentially, its crystalline structure now visible from orbit as it pulsed with light patterns that encoded messages in languages humanity had yet to decipher. Evelyn felt the Queen's presence growing stronger within her, their collective consciousness pressing against the boundaries of her human mind with increasing urgency. The next phase of transformation loomed inevitable, promising revelations that could either elevate humanity to new heights of understanding or consume it entirely in the fire of cosmic evolution.